Everyone, I am Dr. Ankit Singh. On behalf of Swast Wellbeing, I welcome you all for today's session, which is Emotional Wellbeing of Children and Adolescent with Miss Kiran Tevtiya. Now, let me give a introduction to ma'am. Miss Kiran Tevtiya is a child behavior psychologist practicing at multiple pediatric clinics in Mumbai. She supports parents in addressing emotional and behavior challenges of children. Ms. Kiran has done her post-graduation in counseling psychology and along with studies in science of parenting, child rearing, and introduction to development psychology. Her professional experience includes having worked with many children in daycare, preschool, school, and clinical setup. She helps dealing with some of the most common challenges faced by children, including poor attention and concentration, academic concerns, gadgets, screen time tussles, speaking offensively or harshly, breaking things, having catastrophic temper tantrums, stealing, arguing and confronting others, lying, hitting peers, parents, and teachers. Apart from that, parent-child distancing, bullying, fussy, eating, and so on. So firstly, heartiest welcome, ma'am, on behalf of our entire team of Swast Wellbeing, and we feel fortunate to have you talk on our platform today. And thus, without any further delay, would like to hear briefly about our today's session from you. Thanks a lot for joining everyone.
Thank you, Ankit. It's wonderful to be here. It's such an important topic. More we speak about it, especially during the lockdown, the better it is, because this is one age group which has been affected to a great extent with all the social part of it missing out. So yeah, it's wonderful that you chose to take up this topic.
Thank you. So, to start with, ma'am, I have a very basic question, which was a very common one. I before we were trying to sort out all the questions. Out of that, the first one was, what is emotional well-being and how do we define that? That's the very basic question which I think everyone would like to understand so that we can move further. And if you can throw some light on it.
Okay. In general, right, if we split it, the emotional and the well-being part. So before we think about how do we apply it on others, so the sense of well-being when we say, right, do we feel the basic thing, do we feel secure? First thing, it starts from inward to outward. So am I secure, which is primary, most important thing for my well-being. Then am I able to get the basic essentials which are required for me to feel that I am surviving? That's a basic, right? We are starting from, if you talk about Maslow's hierarchy, right? So it's a basic needs. Am I having the security? I'll get food to eat. I will have a place to sleep, right? It's a basic well-being. Then social connect. Am I having people around me who are connected? Whether it is my near and dear, it starts from, maybe if you talk about adolescents, the parents, the extended family members, the peers. So am I socially connected? What phase of self-identity am I on? That's another. Am I getting the age appropriate autonomy and control and say? That also adds on to my sense of well-being, because that's where the emotional part comes in. When we talked about the basic physical needs, then it's emotional as well. So when we bring in the emotionality part of it, my identity, where am I towards that? Right? How do I see myself? How strongly I want to be validated by others? Right? So these all things together, Ankit, we have to see that as an emotional well-being of a person and an adolescent in general. The moment you put in the autonomy, control, and self-identity as well out there. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. Yeah.
Okay. The other one was ma'am, is there any, in terms of emotional quotient, if we talk about, we have segregated a topic into children and adolescent. So, is there any kind of variation in terms of when we talk about the emotional quotient? If you, as a practitioner, when you try and sort it out their problems, so do you define in that way that there is a kind of difference there? So, how do you do that, ma'am? That's
The outward difference, Ankit, as we would see, is a child less than 10 years. Now, it is very difficult to kind of put a very hard timeline, though we say adolescent generally is like 13 years and plus, but then a lot depends on the maturity, the emotional maturity of the person, and it's not necessarily age driven. There could be some children who are, you may start seeing the maturity much faster. So adolescent shouldn't really be very hard and fast age driven. But if we see outwardly, then the younger kids, 10 years if you have to take it more or less, so 10 years and younger, would show a desire even when they are in a rage to keep coming to their near and dear ones for the sense of security. They still they still see themselves under the umbrella. Vis-a-vis, the moment you see 10 plus, again, not hard and fast, 12, 13, 14 onwards, you'll start seeing the other side of it. You would start saying when the person is having a tough time or is going through the highs and lows of life, would start saying, stay out of it. It's my personal life. Though both the ages need a connect, both the ages need that same amount of connect, but then that is where the difference starts coming in.
true.
Right? And the adult caregivers can see in the children the expressed need to connect and the not expressed need to connect.
True.
These are the two ones. And one very important thing is the role that the peer influence
Yes.
that the person allows in their life. As I said, that umbrella, the umbrella of the family, the child, younger, the children are more, they, sheltered by the parents. So there is a limit to which they allow the peer influence. But the moment it is adolescence, right, then their sources of information are many more. So their need to get validated just by a parent saying you are good isn't enough for that person. So that's where their emotional well-being and their validation is spread out for adolescent. Whereas for children, it is my parents, my teachers, the really close ones who really matter. So that's where the emotional, you can see a difference there. Though the needs are the same, but there is a stark difference in the way it is expressed. Yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, there is one more thing which has been asked. In terms of symptoms, if the if a parent want to understand that whether the child is under some emotional stress or something, in children and in adolescent, so how parents can find out that the child is having this sort of a problem before, I mean, the main question is, how do we early detect it? I mean, before going to for a treatment or meeting a doctor or a clinician.
Right. So how do we start getting a sense of it that the child is in need? Now that's a different story, that whether that need is addressed by a professional or by by the parents or by maybe some closed peer, or based on what age group the child is. So how do we sense the need? So generally, my starting point whenever I'm talking to the parents, I will speak out of what when I get upset or problem. The first call when I get from the parent, my first question to the parent always is immaterial of what is the age of the child, whether the child is 1.5 year old, whether the child is 16-year-old. Right. The first question which I ask is the child sleeping properly? Is the child restful in the sleep? Is the child able to put himself or herself to sleep? Often we underestimate the direct impact of sleep on the overall well-being of the child. That is where the early, symptoms start showing up. The child is just full of thoughts and is just not able to sleep. The younger child wouldn't be able to express it, right? So would have some other ways of showing it, meltdowns, tantrums, or overstimulation. The older child would not want to express it, assuming parents wouldn't understand. So you see, in both the cases, the parents would have to do a little extra to actually break that ice. So first thing is sleep. You start seeing that there is some pattern. Either the child is both the sides, Ankita, oversleep or undersleep. If the child has had enough sleep, you know that the child slept, but is just sleeping, is not getting out, is just not motivated enough to get up and get out of the, is not looking forward to go out of the house, just wants to stay, right? So oversleep and undersleep both can be a symptom, right? Second thing can be about, these are physiological eating.
Okay.
Suddenly, if you start seeing a drop, especially in the older side of the, especially in the adolescent side, if you start seeing that, again, both the sides, under eating, overeating. Is it a fixation or even a fixation eating, fixation driven eating? The child is just not able to stop herself or himself from having packets and packets of stevia.
True.
So that is another thing where the child says, I can't stop, or ice creams. I just cannot. Most of the time it is towards the sweet side, but yes, it can be anything. The child, a 4.5-year-old child that I got, would just keep going to the refrigerator 20, 25 times, would open the refrigerator and keep looking for something to eat. Eating is another thing where if as a parent or as an adult caregiver, we start seeing that there is a change, right? We should, and in fact, in the adolescents, sometimes the change is also driven by body image.
Yeah.
That's another challenge. But yes, if you start seeing, you do know that there is something happening here. That's the second thing. Third thing, which I generally ask the question is the child connecting with anyone? It could be uncle, auntie. It may not be parents alone. If the child is comfortable with, maybe sometimes they are comfortable with their maternal side of, Mausi, Chachi, we all are similar cultures. So I'm just saying these words, right? Or Chacha, Chachi, sometimes they are more comfortable with that, or some cousin, older cousin in the family. But is the child connecting with someone, or is the child completely has shut down himself or herself? That's a very important thing. As long as a child is talking and expressing himself or herself, it's a good sign. It's a worrying sign when the child starts, then instead of thinking, let's give space to the child, we would need to think of ways to keep connecting with the child. So is the child, this three things: sleeping, eating, social connect. These are three important areas that I would always begin with. Then, of course, there are other areas like, is the child involved in self-harm, scratching himself or herself, trying something. So there are other areas, but these are the basic things where physiological you start noticing, because something which a living being is inherently motivated to do. We are inherently motivated to put ourselves to rest. We are inherently motivated to eat. We derive pleasure out of eating, right? So these things, and we are social beings. If these things are getting impacted, we should at least start thinking about some ways in which to connect with the child back. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Just to add to this, ma'am, uh, this is the gadget and screen time tussle. I think nowadays it's we have seen children using mobile and lots of gadgets are there. So how much time, I mean, a parent should give them? I mean, do you do you suggest that there should be a fixed time duration for this, or the moment the parents will have that fixed timing, the child might get irritated or something might happen? So in that way, how a parents can manage that part? That's something which is again one question which was there. So we, if you can help the parents who are listening to it, uh, they can just plan it out in a way that it's not even, it doesn't look like a forceful kind of thing to the children, and they can manage as well.
Right. In today's time, it's such a tricky question, right?
I, I,
suppose
I,
suppose we would have been asking this question maybe before the lockdown,
yeah,
right? Then it would have looked like maybe, kids who are 13, 14, 15, maybe it's an issue for them. But today, even for, a 1.5-year-old child or 2-year-old child, also it becomes an issue.
yeah. Even while having food, they want something there so that they are occupied. So is it like good or is it bad? I won't say that it's always using a gadget is bad, but how do you, suggest when this thing comes in everyone's, I think every parent will have this question somewhere.
Very true, very true. Yeah, so I do, to a great extent, Ankit, agree with you that in today's time and in general, like there was a pre-television time. There was no TV at the time. Then we had a post-TV television time. There was uh, all this 24/7 channels time. The DD for the old timers, DD and DD1, Doordarshan, when there was a fixed timing. Then now today is Netflix time, right? On the demand things. So to adopt a strategy that to be in this extreme that, okay, no gadgets at all, would be a very tough thing. I wouldn't say that it's not doable, but it would be a lot of discipline on the part of the parents. A lot of focus starts coming on the parents at there. If you ask me a very point blank question, that is it possible to bring up children at least to a certain age, like 7, 8, 9 years, is it possible to bring up children completely without screen time, right? My answer would be yes, it is possible. However, the question is, do we want to do it or should we do it? Then that it brings different question. Now, inherently, sometimes unknowingly or knowingly, we position the screen time as a villain for other things we want the child to do. That is academics. We start positioning that, okay, you are on screen time, so that's why you're not academic. So you stop the screen time so that you can be on academics. And in today's time, previously it was more of academics. Now in today's time, because the children have gone so used to, because we have to see the impact, right? Children have gone so used to staying at home and being, completely homebound, that it has also become screen time versus social connect. The physical, social connect in a physical manner, especially for older children, 13, 14 years, they say that I'm not enjoying going out. It's tough making friends in the real world. So my suggestion out here would be not to see them as villains, that, they all have roles to play, right? Like the way we have schooling, we have tuition, we have sports, we have extracurricular, we have screen-based entertainment, we have eating, we have family time, we have pockets of multiple things in the child's life. So they all have role to play. So if that is how we see this, it's a healthy way to see. Right. However, the challenge which happens here is when we start seeing that screen time is a filler for all the time when you are feeling tired, you are feeling hungry, you are feeling I have no friends, you are feeling I have no work to do, you are feeling I have gone to a pediatrician's office or I've gone to a doctor's office, I have to wait, so to kill the waiting time, or even when you are in a hotel and we are waiting for the food to come, it is that time. Now, if we start positioning gadget screen-based entertainment as a filler, that's where the challenge starts coming in.
True.
I got a 6-year-old child come to me and telling me that I don't like studying. It isn't, the child is very smart, doing very well in the school, right? But I don't like studying because it takes my time away from my time that I want to spend in video games. So, and but there's something really funny, Ankit, which is happening if we see around, what is actually seems to be happening is I'm doing my work when I get time from screen-based entertainment.
Yeah. That's
Imagine this. So I don't like studying because my free time will go away. And that free time, I want to give it in my video time. So this is a positioning, then it's definitely going to be very, very tough.
true. Very
So
true.
that's my say on this, right? There is no right or wrong answer. Every family has to, devise their own rules. But then there are certain questions which we should definitely ask ourselves. Even right from a fruit vendor, the fruits are lying right there, and the person is sitting behind on a stool and is or she is playing Ludo King. And when you go and ask the price,
Yeah.
you are disturbing me. So you can imagine, we are adults. We expect self-regulation and self-control from children. So it's a very, very tough thing, right? So if we ask these questions to ourselves, probably as a parent, we'll be able to guide the children much better. That's my take on this. Yeah.
Right. Right. Uh, then we have, ma'am, what are some of the tools for younger children and their parents to cope up with challenges associated with mental health? Now, before that, I think our audience would like to understand different challenges which they can face, and then some sort of remedies which they can start doing, and then move to the next stage of getting the treatment or prevention plans from the clinician. So at the start, what can be done? So first would be, I mean, how they can manage these kind of challenges and what are the challenges which they might face. If there is any sort of, I mean, data around that that can be given.
So Ankit, do you have some challenges in your mind? I mean, when
I
you
would
take examples, it really helps.
Yeah, I would definitely ask our audience who are there if they have some sort of challenges. This is an interactive session, so if they also pitch in, it would be great. What kind of challenges, I mean, a family can face when the child is learning, he's getting educated, or at that point of time, probably academics is one which I can see. But in terms of parents, how do they manage this, the day-to-day behavior aspect of it? So that is what uh, I can think about in terms of behavior changes when we that's what it's almost related to the previous question, ma'am, where academics, your playtime, your gadgets, and all these challenges, once they understand that the child is getting somehow too much into pressure when there is exams or something is there. So managing that all of a sudden when they have this sort of pressure, so pressure at the very start when they start going to a school, I mean when they are in class 1 or class 2, they come to understand what is exam all about. So the first time when they understand that pressure, that kind of challenge, how a family, a parents can help, whether they should do something so that they can, it's not only that you can do it or complete the work or exams hain ho jayenge, all these kind of things, ma'am, parents can tell, but is there any a well known approach which parents can take where the child also can understand, and he gets used to each and every time he gets a new challenge of having an exam in class 2, class 3, or class 4, or class 5. He is well prepared that I have done this before. My parents have guided me like this before. So if that kind of, I mean, they are ready, then probably from right from the beginning, if they are pretty much, you can say, they're prepared with this, I don't think so there will be a problem in near future. So how do you, what is your take about it? Means how do you think that a parent should guide their child in terms of this?
Okay. Wow, great. Thanks, Ankit. It makes my job easier when you speak more. By the way, I think I see a hand raised as well, Arunima. So maybe we can add that as well so that I can, take up both
Yeah.
of them.
Hello, ma'am. This is Arunima. My daughter is. Am I audible?
Yes, Arunima, please go ahead.
Yeah. My daughter is 7 years old, and I am a working mom. Currently, I'm working from home. So my daughter is totally exposed to the way I'm talking with my juniors, my seniors, or I'm scolding someone who is not doing his or her stuffs properly. And she is totally exposed to that. And what kind of problem I'm facing here is like, see, I'm in a meeting and she is feeling that she is not getting that attention because I'm maybe I'm giving a demo to someone, to the client maybe. And what she's doing, she is constantly coming to my room. She is talking about her like unnecessary things which kids are like used to say all the time, like the I saw a bird flying, I saw a bird with red beak and kind of stuff when my meeting is going on. See, I even if I tell her like please do not disturb at this moment, or like please I'll talk to you later, but that doesn't work. And it is happening since last 1.5 years till the time till from the time when I started working. This is number one, and number two is the exposure to the kind of behavior, like the professional behavior I am doing with my colleagues. Sometimes it is it is very professional, sometimes it's a bit harsh. I need to where I'm managing a team, I need to be harsh at times, so that everything is getting exposed. So how to tackle that? And what is happening, like she knows everyone's name. She can like, oh, I am doing you are scolding me just because I'm not doing like that person. That is the reason. Kind of like replies I'm getting. She's relating my job role, or like the way I behave in my job to with her. When she is not doing anything or not doing it properly, I may need to I need to scold her, right? Like, you are not doing it or something. She will relate, okay, you are doing it with that person and you are doing it with me as well. So there's a relation. I don't know what is the solution to this problem.
All right. Thank you,
Making like,
Arunima.
am I making sense?
Yeah, Arunima, you are making, you are speaking on behalf of many working parents, who are at home and who are working from home. And now the home, the office life, where we were interacting with people. And when we would come back home, we would take out that coat and we'll don upon the family man or family woman coat, and we'll interact with children in the ideal manner in which we expect our children to learn. And when we step out of home, we again are, let me get the work done back from others, right? But here, that's a challenge, right? When you're at home, it exposes the children to all the worlds. Now, I would keep it a little generic because there are many elements, Arunima, out here. The working parent is a different thing. Space for the parent is a different thing than the child looking for attention, for seemingly looking for attention, a different thing. There are many elements here. But in general, I will take the anxiety part from here, and probably, and I'll club it with what Ankit shared in terms of challenges as well. We'll club it together and we'll take it from a child's point of view. For young children, and we will live, because Ankit, you also talked about children, right? So we'll probably focus on children at this age. So for this question, so that we are not confusing with adolescent here. So children, in the sense I treat, it's like 10 years and less. For children, right, whatever they see around them in their growing age, first 5 years, then first 10 years, and that's when the critical thinking starts coming in, and the child isn't really just absorbing, child is filtering, and the child starts doing a lot of critical thinking before actually adopting it. So it is not so easy for a 12 or 13-year-old, if you just show that person some video, to start acting like that immediately after that video. But then for a 3-year-old or 4-year-old, when the person is introduced to Spider-Man, immediately the child will start doing like this. So the impact is always much higher on younger children of their surroundings. So there can be challenges here, because when as a parent, right, we are exposing the child, well intentioned, to YouTube sources of information. Okay, I will add on to that as well, while we are also talking about the parent being on call and how the child is overhearing that. So that influence as well. So it's truly a learning phase for the child, and the child is does not just learn the words, child learns the exact accent. For 6 months, around 5-year-old child was completely shown for 6 hours Peppa Pig videos. At the end of 6 months, for 6 to 7 hours, right? At the end of it, the only vocabulary that the child retained was what was being spoken in Peppa Pig, right? Hello, George. Hello, right? Susie, like that, and completely in that accent. Because it is the first 5 years and the first 10 years where so much of pruning happens in the brain, that whatever information that is repeatedly used keeps getting concretized, and whatever the child is not using gets pruned up, so that the brain starts becoming more and more and more and more efficient and moves towards concretizing that information, right? Before that, it's very fluid. So we definitely would have to be sensitive about it. Every interaction child sees, more than what, because there's another reason why visual works so strongly for young children than auditory. That's why if you just tell a child, long lectures you give or long things that you tell to the child may not really respond. But the moment you show a particular mannerism, you increase your tone, you increase your body language, you will start noticing that the young child would start showing visible symptoms of either defenses or coping mechanisms. They connect to visual. So that is also why when the child sees a high octave discussions happening when the adults are doing it, child is bound to listen, sensitive to the tones. Even when you notice that the child is around, and if you dip your tone, child is going to notice, oh, something changed. And the child is going to see the mannerism. And the child is also going to see that how the word that was used impacted the other person. Okay. And is going to use exactly in the same mannerism, which leads us to believe, oh my God, the child is learning such heavy words. It isn't that the child is learning heavy words. It is just that it is learning phase for the child. And he or she is going to show whatever information that they get. They are going to imbibe it. So we got to be sensitive about it. Now, coming back to the anxieties that we talked about, there are many types of challenges, Ankit, here. Especially, I would add on to the coronavirus also, right? From which makes parent uncomfortable, which can truly make parent uncomfortable. Right from the talks about death, young children are sensitive about that. In some families, I'm talking about the cases that have come to me when, it's a grandfather, grandmother, in some families, some close relative, friends, relatives, the child hears all this thing. So when the parents start saying, don't worry, the child can't make a sense of it, right? There's a chaos because the child sees in the news, in all the information that the child is seeing, sees panic there, and then he says, "Don't worry." From the people whom the child holds in a very high esteem, the influencers. So there is a big chaos happening. So my suggestion out here would be that whatever are the challenges, it could be the child comes back and says, my friend has this, I also want it. It could be where as a parent we start comparing, see, and especially when online education has come right on our desktop, we see another child prattling the answers so beautifully. And then we look at our child who is just biting the nails or maybe just scribbling in the notebook. We say, hey, what's this happening? There's something wrong with my child, right? All the comparison thing starts coming in, and then I'm anxious and I push my child, answer. So there is a lot of anxiety because of online education as well, because the onus which actually was to the educational system has come on the parents. So it's especially hard both for homemakers and working parents actually. You can imagine a well-trained teacher who was trained how to, engage with the child in a group setting. Because in the group setting, it is not just the teacher who is engaging, because you, Ankit, brought up the academics as well. So it's very important to understand, especially in young children. It was not that the child was only motivated to make the teacher happy. The child was also seeing his best friend doing it. Child was also seeing the smile on the friend's face when the friend was coming back after getting a star on the hand. Child also responding when the teacher would come and sit near the child, put an arm around the child and say, hey, the way you've done it, wow, now can you do it this way? So there was a social connect, very strong inherent motivation going out there. We cannot expect, especially for those younger children, not to get affected by that and still be inherently motivated to continue with the same, enthusiasm about it. So if I have to say in one line, how to handle different types of challenges, whether it is child not doing the brush on time, child not taking bath when spoken to, siblings hitting and running away, the sibling brings different flavor. There are n number of places where the moment you take the phone away, child is getting all berserk, is hitting, throwing things. Right? There are n number of places where the conflicts, parent and child conflict can come in. So if I have to say in a very generic manner, focusing on the child, the thoughts of the child, more than how the thoughts of the child is making you feel. The child used some very strong word. In fact, Arunima, what I have noticed, especially I'm addressing it to Arunima because she shared about, and to all the working parents, she shared about the influence of work environment language on the child. Children are, one child is watching, some kind of, lots and lots of kind of YouTube, seemingly funny videos, but they are full of cuss words. They are full of acts which are showing as funny, but they have inherent problems. Like I had a case of about 4.5-year-old children, putting their, because they're all adults in this session, so it's important to understand the impact, right? Putting their pens down and doing bum to bum. And when one of the child was asked, where did you see it? They said, oh, I saw it in a YouTube. They were doing that. They don't see it as it's just video. They see it as a source of learning. That's why in the playground, in general, cuss words have increased for many reasons. Exposure through screens, because adults are working from home, so all the work language has come at home. So there are many reasons, and it is a time for the children to learn. So if you focus on, all right, dear, this is a strong word you're using, focus on the child and not that, oh my God, don't get triggered by it, right? Because it's a learning phase, child learn. So with your help, the child can unlearn it also. So if you focus on the child's emotions, child's thoughts, keep the focus there, it's going to help the child much more. Then, how could you do this to me? how disrespectful you are to me, then I am trying to take the focus. You see? So it's going to help if we keep the focus on the child. It's a very generic one, Ankit, but it's important, right? Yeah.
Okay, now coming to adolescent, ma'am, this is one question which was there, the habit, the different sorts of habit, substance abuse which can happen, and the impact and how to tackle it. I mean, the parents, how they can just come forward and explain their child that this is not right. How, what should be the approach in that? So this is something, and your message to the parents.
Right. Um, any kind of addiction, whether it is substance, whether it is, child is getting screen, is back to back watching series, whether it is, continuously eating, any kind of addiction. It's important that one part is, of course, sensitizing the child, but it's also important to build something. Sometimes, especially for adolescent, what happens is because the child is not expressing or explicitly saying, I need your connect, even though the child needs it, right? So sometimes as a parent, we reach to a level and we say, all right, to hell with it. All right, this is what makes you happy, go. Do it. I'm out of it. Because it's painful, right? It's hurtful rather when the child says, you are not important for me. It's painful and hurtful, and we react to that. So important is that even when we notice that the child is going into some kind, I'm saying it at a very high level, right? Addiction is a very big topic actually, right? But I'm talking in a very generic manner, keeping the anxiety as the main theme out here. So can be any number of reasons why the child got addicted. So, we have to, case by case, it has to be talked. But I'm talking in general, keeping the anxiety as the baseline. It's important that while the child is at this platform, to keep building something with the child, instead of having all the focus on over how do I take this away. Keep building your connect. The child actually needs you much more at that time, because the child needs to. Child is at rock bottom, right? It is though the child is showing very high level of go out of my life, right? You will not understand. You don't understand. You never understand. There is one more very important thing, which is related to adolescent, which we have not talked about, and I just briefly touched upon, is age appropriate ability, giving the freedom to the child to take decisions. It's very important. Sometimes we are so protective that we don't even come to know when it is the time to really put the child down and let the child walk, and child is going to, and to have the child the right to make bad decisions. When the child made a bad decision of wrong set of friends, addicted to pornography, there are many addictions, right? When the child has got into that, if we start seeing it as, okay, the child needs support, instead of we start seeing it as, all right, the child is a problematic child. If we change our outlook towards the child needs support, the child needs acceptance, the child needs to be loved, even when he's in this state, for the child to actually come out of it, then probably our connect with the child will be way different. Then probably when the child has come from outside, you heard the door slam, you saw that the child's eyes are all red in rage, and the child rushes in her or his room, is right in the room. You go behind the child saying, hey, is everything okay? You look disturbed. You enter into you open the door, enter in, and the child says, no, I don't want to talk to you. Say, hey, all right, I'm not looking at you. Look, my face is not there with you. I'm right. I'm looking at the door. You think I'm not there, but I'm sitting here. I'm the guardian. I'm right here. I'm not even talking to you. Look, I'm quiet. You're giving space to the child. doesn't mean being out of child's life. Child needs that connection. Chances are very high that the child will actually start just the sense that there is somebody there, even if that somebody is not talking. Sometimes it is not important to talk. Sometimes for adolescents especially, sometimes it is just important that you're there. When the child is sleeping, you are just there for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, just there. So, one way is to take the child out of addiction. The other way is also to keep building your connect, right, with acceptance and love, not reject the child. Reject the habit, but don't reject the child. Because it's a phase and it will be past one day. If you truly, your trust and confidence will help the child much more as you're giving up thing. So I really hope this.
That was really helpful, ma'am. Now, I would like to request the participants if they have any questions, they can definitely ask, ma'am, because we are running short of time. And if somebody has any question, they can definitely. Yes, please, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am. One question, like I saw few kids, they get addicted to some habits from their childhood. Like my daughter holds someone's hand. It may be me, it may be my mother-in-law, it may be her father. She holds it and like just rub the surface, and she does it indifferently every night when she want to sleep, or when she's not doing anything, when we are around, she will keep rubbing it. So even it's like it's since when she was 2 years old, so it's 5 years now, and it's very difficult for us to get rid of that habit of hers. So what to do, like how and why they are doing it? I can understand they get like it's a sense of relaxation or calmness to them. She gets quiet and calm, she sits quietly when she does it. But at the same time, it's not correct, right? Holding my hand and then rubbing it, and it's something it seems an addiction to us. So how to cater that?
Right. Okay. Um, there are a few things here that we should understand when self-stimulation. Okay, when there is the it could be a boy touching penis many times, right? Young child who just discovered. It could be even two children playing and telling, show me your private part, I will show you mine. They have this natural curiosity towards each other's bodies. They're sharing with all the different cases that come to me, right? Even the games, like when there is seemingly a private game, 7-year-old, 5-year-old, if you lose this, then you have to show yours, or I will show you mine, all those things. Then there is also this repetition kind of thing. It is natural for a child to discover how different body parts are giving different sensation to the child. Some children discover that thumb sucking, when the child is taking the thumb and sucking it, is
Uh-huh.
self-soothing, right? They indulge into it, and slowly, as they become older and older and they become conscious, they start taking the end of their collar, because the oral thing still stays. Some other children get into a habit of doing some repetitive movement on the hand of the parent, like this kind of thing, or if they find it here,
Same.
this kind of thing. It's some repetitive movement which they are doing it. So what now? If we talk about a 7-year-old child, we should divide it into the questions into different sub-questions. First question that we should ask is, what is the inherent challenge that we see in this activity? Which a child is necessarily doing, is indulging when either the child will be quiet, right, or the child is trying to sleep, which is like becomes a go-to
Yes.
activity for the child, right? What is the inherent challenge in that? And then from there, the solutions come. Because good thing is, because the child is a little older, the child will connect to reasoning side of it, not to stop it. The child knows the best what kind of sensory inputs is helping him or her. So not to stop it, but to see how to redirect the child, keeping the essence of the sensory input that is helping the child. So first we understand what is the
Okay.
concern. Is the concern your hand? Are you okay if the child is using her hand? Is the concern doing it in public, private? What is the concern we understand here? Is the concern about what somebody else will say when the person sees? Is the concern if the child is doing it at 7 years old, how will she, if she doesn't come out of it? Is there a fear that what will she do at 13 years of age? We have to see where the concern is, and then accordingly see if a redirection is required. I'm saying a very, very generic thing for all the children who might be into some kind of repetitive thing. If it is something about private parts, then I would always suggest to, of course, after you have checked for the any kind of fungal infection and all, then I would always suggest that the child is guided, not in terms of it is a bad habit to do, but is guided. This is a private thing. So I would suggest you go in the washroom, right? And you know, indulge into it and you come back once you're comfortable. It's a good thing to do. But if it is about you, the fear that if I stop doing it, my child will not go to sleep. And the moment you stop, the child wakes up. If it is that fear, you may have to then look deeper, because then the child is not building an ability to put herself to sleep. The child would need some kind of redirection, which keeps the sensory input that the child is getting in mind as well. So then we work towards how the child can self-soothe herself. What are the redirection that can work for her? So these are very high level generic that I touched upon, all the things, self-stimulation to thumb sucking to, you know, any kind of repetitive movement that the child is either expecting the parent to do or the child is doing herself on the parent. So I really hope this generic one helps in general the parents.
Ma'am, one thing I want to tell you that like we have tried with toys, like you take a toy and like you hold her tightly, or like you do the same thing what you are doing with us, but it doesn't help. So she will eventually keep the toy after a few minutes and start doing the same thing with the hand, like of me or her, like grandmother or her father, whoever is next to her while sleeping. So yeah.
I understand. Now, uh, I mean, I will definitely have to, you know, check with Ankit out here that do we have the bandwidth to, you know, continue. Your voice is not edible, Ankit. Do we have the bandwidth to continue on it in detail?
Uh, we have uh, 8 minutes, ma'am. 7 to 8 minutes we have.
Great, great, very
Yeah,
nice.
sure,
Thank you
ma'am.
for that. So Arunima, then let's, you know, do it in a fast forward manner. Then tell me what, if you have to think about it, what is, why do you think it's a challenge? What challenge do you see it in this?
Yeah, see, when we are going outside or something like that, and she needs to keep like sit quietly, she will pick up her my hand or her father's hand, and she'll start doing it. So like sometimes it's like irritating to me, or like so if someone is rubbing your hand constantly and you are doing something, so it's not comfortable for me as well, right? So uh, if I like give her a storybook or a toy, that doesn't help. If she is getting bored, she will start doing that.
Right. So is it that your hand is, so again coming back, because we always start from the parent who can better connect with the reasoning side. So is it that you're getting tired of doing it, or is it that you're conscious of it? What part is worrying you in public that you said? Right now you're saying that at the nighttime it is okay, but in public there's a challenge. So what part is worrying you?
I get like a bit impatient when she does it. Like I feel it's not proper, and like it is something which is not normal. So I want her to stop that, and she doesn't listen. And yeah,
Right. So how long is she indulging into it, and what exactly is the action that she is doing? Is it
the
different
same
for
action
different, like for
which you
you
have.
different and for grandmother different?
No, it's same. She will like just she will put her hand to my uh, hand, and she will keep rubbing the like we have this skin hairs, so she will just slightly
Like
keep
this.
rubbing the hairs,
Right.
and it's something like an yeah, self-soothing thing to
Right.
her.
It's a repetition thing, right? So in case
Mm.
if she's doing like this and one is getting irritated, the other
Yeah,
is
definitely.
having the other thing is having some physical discomforture. So do you have any kind of physical discomforture when she's doing it?
She doesn't have, but we
You is you.
yeah, yes, I do feel. I cannot like it. It's a bit. It's something a bit like I get goosebumps and all, and it's not so soothing for me.
Right. So if it is not soothing for you, then you, instead of giving her the choices that, okay, you know what, don't do it, instead of stopping her from doing it, you can tell your problem because she's 7, right? So, dear, you know what? And this, if you're doing it here, my hand is genuine problem, not manipulation. Genuine problem that, you know what, this is really hurting me. So, can you do it here? Maybe on your thighs, or maybe something which is easier accessible to her, or
Okay.
maybe in the inside of your palm, because the thing is she needs that connection. And you can also then actually put some arm around her, which can, maybe there can be other reasons where she's looking for connect in public. There could be other reasons. There could be separation anxiety, and there could be maybe crowd sensitivity as well. So we may have to look at from that point of view as well. So you can actually put some arm around her as well, just to keep that safety and connect with her going on. But I would suggest go by the
Get
sensory, sorry, go by the sensory, go by the direction that the child is saying as much as possible. She would know what her body is demanding. But yes, you have right to tell, I am getting tired. You have right to say that. So when you say I'm getting tired, then you say, please, can you come this side and do this hand, please. So you are respecting her desire, sensory input desire. However, you're respecting your sense of pain as well. Otherwise, you'll keep
okay.
waiting to your threshold. You'll keep waiting, okay, 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 and finally you will blast. So
Yeah,
whenever
that
you
is happening.
notice, yeah, whenever you will notice that, oh my God, I am getting uncomfortable,
Uh-huh.
then ask her to come the other side. Don't help her too much. You can tell her, instead of this hand, can you do come this side and do this hand, please? Give her direction. Can you do it on this hand, please? And make more physical connect. So, I mean, that's a generic one, because it's very difficult
Okay.
to just by one part of the symptom talk in detail about it, because we're only seeing one part of the symptom.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I really hope in general, for the parents who are listening to it, when the child gets into it, like jumping at one side, some younger children go round and round and round and round, between 2 years and between 1.5 year to 3 year old, they'll go round and thumb fall down. And as a parent,
Uh-huh.
we say, what are you doing? Because it looks odd, but then they need it, right? The child needs to kind of, the child is going and having different kind of experience. Oh my God, it's all going giddy. So if you, instead of telling the child to stop it, if you're worried the child will get hurt, redirect the, dear, you know what, there are a lot of furniture here. Can you go on the carpet and do there, please? See where it
Uh-huh.
can be a yes as much as possible with conditions instead of a no. Then
Okay.
overall, in all the age groups, it can beautifully help a lot of children in different conditions. Yes, with conditions. Wherever you are scared, like there was this one last thing. I know, Ankit, you are like keeping a track of the time, and that's very important. So just one thing, that there was this 13 and a half year old child. Now, mother is skeptical that, okay, the child will get hurt, so is not allowing the child to go do the cooking. And the child really wants to do the cooking. And if you ask me, it is age appropriate for the child to get these kind of controls. Right? Now, there are many reasons when you start saying why I want to say a no. Okay, I want why that my child should only focus on academics. I don't want her to waste in anything else. I'm afraid, she may get hurt in the kitchen. Right. I am skeptical she will all make it all messy affair in the kitchen and then it will be a problem. I'm afraid she will put all the ingredients and then it'll all have to be thrown away. There are many reasons. So we always have to figure it out why. And then tell your child, don't, instead of saying no, put that problem to the child. You know what, especially child who are like 7 years plus are beautifully can understand it. You know what, I know you want this, but I have a problem. And my problem is, so how do we address it? Then in a collaborative mode, when we are connecting with the child, it really helps the children when they are part of the problem solving. In fact, in one of the questions, Ankit, you had talked about problem solving. So this will help the child when in an age appropriate manner. It is a collaboration. How do we do it? Tell me, I have a problem here. I have a problem if you're coming at 9 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock. I'm worried for your safety. So, collaboration is really wonderful for children. It helps them to feel in control in an age appropriate manner, right? And then if there are any anxieties which are coming out of the constant conflict, it really helps the children. And no matter what, please don't resort to hitting, because hitting never helps, no matter what is the age group.
Okay, so I wish I had some more time, ma'am. Yeah. So thank you so much, Miss Kiran, for the wonderful session. We are really grateful for the time and effort you took for this entire session. I believe we can benefit immediately from the approaches, I mean, suggested from your end. And thank you so much to the participants. And we would definitely uh, try our level best to get ma'am back once again. That if she gives us some time, definitely we will go ahead with one more session. So thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you, and have a great evening. Good
So
night.
thank you, Swast team, and have a good evening. Take care. Bye bye.